Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Penguin Nonsense. I am your host, Edith, and like I said, welcome back. Today we have some great stories for y'all, and thank you for joining us wherever you may be listening to, whether it be on Spotify or Amazon or our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. And without making this any longer, let's get to it. Today I found some news that I thought was pretty great news. We all know that the world kind of stood still in 2020 due to COVID, and we pretty much got set back by a lot of things. And I think for a lot of families, it was a very, very bad year. And even 2021, I think both of those years were just really rough for everyone. But thankfully, we have come through and we have learned a lot of lessons from that. And hopefully, everybody has learned to value family because of COVID, right? But I found an article that said that the COVID is no longer a public health emergency, according to the World Health Organization said Friday. The WHO issued the declaration more than 3 years ago on January 30, 2020. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom said that he made the decision following a recommendation from the WHO's Emergency Committee, which met on Thursday, 15th of April. They said for more than a year, the pandemic has been on a downward trend, and with the population immunity increasing from vaccination and infection mortality decreasing, and the pressure on health system easing. The trend has allowed most countries to return to normal life as they knew it before COVID. However, he did note that worldwide someone dies of COVID every 3 minutes. So to keep still being careful around, like, whenever you're out and that kind of stuff, like, COVID is not totally gone, but they did take off that whole, like, emergency state that we were all still kind of under. And also the U.S. is set to end its COVID public health emergency on Thursday. The designation has been in place since January 2020. President Joe Biden signed a resolution into law last month ending the country's COVID national emergency. So at least I think by now, considering from when the article was written, it no longer is in, like, global emergency. But I think it serves to know that we do still need to be careful, because it's something that didn't just magically disappear and all of a sudden it's not here anymore. It is something that is still very real, still very here. So just because this like law or emergency thing uplifted doesn't mean that we should stop taking care of ourselves. Still use your Germ-X. If you're not a fan of the mask, at least still be careful and, like, being too close around strangers, that kind of stuff. Obviously, you will always be with family members or whoever your close friendship group. So just be careful around where you go and that kind of stuff, and the surfaces you're touching, all that good stuff, because it was a bad year for all of us. I think everyone can relate, and we all have that one thing in common, is that we can all relate that that year was awful and we were all scared. We were all wondering, is it ever gonna be over? And what turned from being a couple of weeks turned into months, turned into years. And it was like no light at the end of the tunnel, and sadly we lost a lot of people. But here we are. Thankfully, we are developed enough to have some vaccinations, or depending how you feel about them. I know a lot of people are anti-vaxxers. It is what it is. But for the people who did get vaccinated, they felt that little bit of peace over them knowing that we had something, So that was good that we are in a generation, or we are in a part of the world where vaccinations were a thing. So that was, in my opinion, that was a good thing. But I'm very glad to hear this, and I thought that was a worthy world news to know for the week. So please still stay safe out there, but at least we know we can ease off knowing that it's not so bad anymore as it used to be. So we will continue on to our next story of Am I the A-hole? This story is a wedding drama, because who doesn't love some good wedding drama, right? And the title went, Am I the A-hole for rushing home to get to my sister's forgotten wedding veil, but giving up on bringing it to her? And I was like, when I read that title, I was wondering why she gave up on it. Like, there's a few reasons why I would think you are the a-hole, but at the same time, I'm like, there would be also a few reasons why I think you wouldn't be the a-hole with that one. So let's find out what happened. My older sister Odette just got married at a venue that, with no traffic, is about 2 hours and 15 minutes away. Odette planning to wear great-great-grandma's Mary's bell, which has a distant lace pattern and is passed to only the eldest daughter, in our family is considered good luck, heavily sentimental, and we have multiple bridal pictures of eldest daughters in the bell while standing with their mom and grandma. The bridal party and family met at Odette's house before driving to the venue. The veil had been in a garment bag hung in front of a closet door, but the door had been open, the hanger fell off, and none of us missed it when we packed up. We made it to the venue. I want to say she probably meant and all of us missed it. But anyways, we made it to the venue by noon for the 4 p.m. wedding. Odette realized that the bell was missing and ran to me in panic, insisting I need to be the one to go find it. Mom wouldn't drive fast enough. Middle sister Constance was her maid of honor, and Dad was dealing with setup. I didn't think I could make it there and back, but Odette insisted and said that if I needed, we could stall the ceremony a little. I floored it, but sat in bumper-to-bumper traffic for almost 2 hours. Waze estimated I wouldn't be at her house until at least 2:45. I texted Odette that if I didn't turn around now, I wasn't going to make it. She texted back, just get it here. When I emphasized that I wouldn't make it for her wedding ceremony or reception if I didn't turn around, she said, the photographer doesn't leave until 7. Just get it here before then so Mom, Grandma, and I can take the pictures. I made it to her house on adrenaline, but it took me forever to find the bell and get it to the road again. Odette's texts continued after the wedding ceremony and pictures. I was already exhausted, sitting in rush hour traffic and upset that I missed the entire thing. After rereading our texts that they were all about Mary's bell, I realized that she didn't care at all about me being there, which upset me enough to turn around at 5:30 p.m. with an estimated arrival of 6:30 p.m. and getting later. I texted Odette that I was sorry, but the bell was put up and the house key was in the flower pot. I woke up to a ton of angry texts from her accusing me of ruining her wedding and not trying hard enough to get it back. Am I the a-hole? Wow. That one was a little like, she should have prepared a little bit better. Like, I know that they say that you're bound to miss things on your wedding, but to have sent her sister and been like, you need to go, like, you absolutely have to go, and all those text messages, none of them being about, you know what, it's already late, like, maybe you should turn around and come back, and you can still be in my pictures, or still witness my wedding, because you're getting married. It's not like another birthday or another celebration for your friends or whatnot, like another party. No, it's your wedding day, and to have your family members there, in my opinion, means a lot. And to not have her sister there, I'm surprised that she didn't ask her to turn around, but you know what they say, Bridezillas, right? So in my opinion, I don't think she was the a-hole for not going back to the wedding venue, because after she saw the text message, none of them were about like, oh, don't worry about it. If you want to turn around, that'll be fine. But I also do agree that I guess this bride did think that this was the like most important thing she needed to have in her wedding. In order of, how do I say, like, this bell had been passed from generation to generation to the eldest daughter, and only the eldest daughter has worn it. So I'm sure tradition to her meant a lot, and the fact that she's the one who ends up having to break that tradition, I'm sure that must not be easy to have that on your shoulders and be like, it's kind of my fault that tradition was broken. But I do agree that there's other ways that she could get these pictures of her and her bell. Like maybe she could talk to the photographer and ask and see if maybe she can do another photo shoot later with her wedding dress and her grandma and her mom, so she at least still has those pictures of her and that bell, if it meant that much to her. I don't think it's the end of the world because she forgot this bell. I don't think there's other solutions to this. So I definitely do agree that this could have been handled better. And there was like the most comment, like upvoted comment, was not the a-hole. When the absence of the bell ruins a wedding more than the absence of a family member, your priorities are skewed and you are owed nothing, especially from the family member who wasn't even missed. And I agree with that comment a lot. Like I said earlier, if as family member you weren't, like, that was your sister. Like, I understand if maybe it was like a second cousin or something like that, whatever. Like, no, that was your sister. And if you couldn't care enough to be like, to tell your sister, you know what, I want you to be at my wedding. We can talk about the bell later. Or we can find other options to get like pictures with that bell later. Like, I think that's sad. It's sad because for a moment, you just totally forgot that you literally are not going to have your sister there with you. I don't know. I know not a lot of siblings had the greatest stuff, like friendship or like bond or whatever you want to call it. But I for sure would be sad if my brothers missed my wedding or something like that. So no, she's not the a-hole. I don't think she is, and everybody in the thing said that not the a-hole. So I think everybody is on her side on this one. I'd like to hear your comments on it. Do you think she was the a-hole or maybe wasn't the a-hole? Do you think things could have been handled differently? I know photography can get expensive, so it is what it is, and you just kind of have to deal with it then. Alright, on to our third story. So our third story is a very heartwarming story and how the internet always pulls through. So today's story is about a British woman who was absolutely heartbroken. Her name is Carly Bird, who lives in Harlow, England, revealed on April 12th in an emotional TikTok video that someone apparently broke into her garden overnight and dumped salt. which is deadly for plants, and they dump the salt all over the plant bed. Bird transformed her own garden into an element to launch her charity initiative, A Meal on Me with Love, according to GoFundMe page for the project. She provides free organic fruits and vegetables to low-income and vulnerable people in her community who are struggling to put food on the table. She also rescues food destined for the landfill and donates it to the people in need, according to her charity Facebook page. So on the TikTok, apparently she ends up saying that she ended up waking up one day and they found salt, because she has volunteers with her. They found salt all over the plant beds or where they end up getting their crops from. And if you know anything about plants, this can be quite deadly to them. So now the land is unusable. They're gonna have to dig up the top to make sure they try to get most of the sand out and then redo things and whatnot. And so she let everybody know about this, and when she did, she got the internet to pull through. And what they did was they ended up donating over hundreds of thousands of dollars. I didn't get to screenshot the amount to her because they wanted her to keep doing what she was doing. And that's the one thing I do love about TikTok and the internet in general, is that sometimes strangers will come together for this one person. And I've seen it a lot more on TikTok. I don't know if it's just because TikTok it's the trend right now, but where they show a bad situation and the people are like, oh, let's start them a GoFundMe page, or let's donate this to the person who made the video, and that person can give that person the money, or stuff like that. And I think it's just amazing. And so a lot of these TikTokers pull through. They send her the money. She was able to buy and fix the flower bed, although that a lot of the crops that she wants to grow will probably not be growing in time for her to start this season with good crops. But she was able to buy groceries and that kind of stuff for the people that are in need. And she even wants to now that she has all this money that the people have sent, she wants to put picnic tables out on where the garden would be. And she also wants to do grills, so in case people want to actually sit there and cook some of the vegetables and food that they have been given, they can sit and do that too, or just share with the community, kind of like a community garden, but just a little bit better, So TikTok makes me happy. Or at least the TikTokers do, because they really do spread out the news or the situations that people are going through, and then the people watching, the people listening, find it in their heart to want to help. And I think that is good, because nowadays you always hear of all these bad things happening and whatnot, and sometimes when I do bring bad world news, you are able to see a few glimpses of how bad the world is at the moment. But just to find that there is still good people out there, still donating, still seeing the good in people, and it's just amazing to me. She was very grateful of everyone who gave, and I think that she's still accepting donations. I will find that information and leave it in the comments below on our YouTube. But it doesn't get happier than that. It doesn't get happier than that, because to go out of your way to plan all of this stuff and give it to people in need, you don't have to do that. But she chose to do that because she said that she knew what it was like to go without a meal some days. She knew what it was like to not have a heater some days and that kind of stuff. So she had been through it, So now she was giving back. Now that she had something, she was giving back to the people who she knew were struggling. And that can only be appreciated. So thanks to her and all that she's doing. And I hope that this charity keeps going to keep providing food for these people, because the homeless only keeps getting, like, that population only keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's just because everything is just becoming so hard to, like, to have a sustainable living, you know? So I'm glad that there's people out there willing to help the less fortunate. And you never know what someone went through that all of a sudden made them have to come to those situations to where they couldn't afford a meal. You know, I've been there, as our family at one point struggled to, like, have food on the table. So I definitely understand what it's like not to have, you know, a meal that day or that kind of stuff. But eventually, you know, things got better for us, and so I hope that it does for these people too. I hope that they find this little bit of hope that she's giving, and that when they get in better feet, they are able to pass it on and do just as much good for others as someone did for them. So that was the last story for today. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening to another episode, and I hope you'll have a great week, a great start of the week. I hope your Mondays aren't too awful. I hope nobody has the Monday blues. But if you do, just know that it's almost now Monday. You have 5 days to the weekend, and it'll be okay, you know? So I hope you have a good week. Stay safe. And remember that even though they uplifted this COVID thing, that doesn't mean we gotta stop being we gotta stop being safe about things. So stay safe out there. Keep pushing forward for the week, and y'all have a good one, okay? Bye, guys.